Aloha.
Aloha pono, happy birthday, hauoli laha now.
Wow.
We're so glad to have you here for another
It
year
was the
around the
best birthday
sun.
I ever had. And again, it's because of warriors like you, peace warriors.
Mahalo.
Because I so appreciate what you stand on, what you're doing. It's so pono. And man, you just blew me away on how much strength it takes to walk the path you do. Can you kind of share? I had the pleasure of walking alongside of you to remind people exactly where we're at and what needs to be taken care of before we move on to other things that might not be so beneficial for everybody.
Well, we are all down there to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I feel that Dr. King is a very, very special human being who deserves to be celebrated. And as, you know, a man who stood for pono and freedom and justice, and who set out to right the wrongs that he saw in the world around him, and who followed the laws that he knew inside of him rather than the artificial laws created by those who had no right to create them. I think he's an excellent example of what we need to see in Hawaii. So that was my motivation for participating in the Martin Luther King parade. And some of the organizers, probably all of the organizers, but I don't know them all, are very strong in that also. They really well believe that. And so that's why they have supported us in doing what is very unusual protocol for a march, and basically not opposing the Kanaka Maoli going in front of the United States Marines color guard. Yeah, so it's very, very important, and I mahalo the organizers of the Martin Luther King Parade for recognizing Kanaka Maoli as the native people of this land, and, you know, seeing that we need to put our message there.
Can I just add, from my like you said, it's seeing them marching with those guns.
Right, that's what
on a mission of peace.
That's what
in an occupied nation. That it again, I so appreciate that man for what he stood for and what
exactly.
he was about.
And what he stood for was not militarization. He stood against militarization and against war, and for peace and for nonviolence
and justice.
So therefore, even though we were in front of the color guard, and I do appreciate that it took a lot of, you know, understanding for people to recognize the need for us to be there, at the same time, it's very difficult to have those guns anywhere in a parade for someone as special as Martin Luther King. And so
it's kind of like an oxymoron, I think.
Yeah. And so it was difficult in that way. I do have to say, though, that the single thing that I found to be most difficult, in addition to the guns of the United States military, was the Royal Hawaiian Band. And I'm sorry to have to say that, but if you know the history, in 1893, when the palace was overtaken by violent force, by corporate greed, those who kicked out our queen from her rightful place forced everyone to sign documents of loyalty, bogus documents. And the Royal Hawaiian Band, the true Royal Hawaiian Band of that time, refused to sign. As a band, all of them refused to sign. They went instead to the house of Ellen Wright Pendergrass and asked her to write a song that would lead them in protest. And that's when she wrote Kalananapua, which goes, Kaulanana pua o Hawaii Kupa ama hope o ka aina Hiki mai a ka elele o koloko ino Pala pala anunu me ka paka. So when this messenger comes with this evil document, that the people are strong, and it specifically says, after talking about the islands uniting and everyone coming together, which has happened in our movement from her time on, it talks about Aolea e kauika pulima Maluna o ka pepa o ka enemi. Or no one will affix a signature onto this document, this wrongful document. Ho'ohui aina ku ai hewa I ka pono sivila a o ke kanaka. So it's saying that the civil rights of the people are most important. Kapono sivila a o ke kanaka, civil rights of the people. And that, the stolen land is a great wrong, and then it goes on to say, Aole makoa e mina mina I ka pu'ukala o ke ao puni Ua lava mako I ka pohaku I ka ai ka maha o ka aina. Or we don't need the government's sums of money. We don't need their piles and piles of money. That's all they have. For us, the stones. It's the stones that are important. The amazing food of the land. That's what's important. So that song, Kaulana Napua, was written for the Royal Hawaiian Band in protest. But unfortunately, that's not what I heard today. What I heard was a band, and I cannot call them the Royal Hawaiian Band. I don't think, unfortunately, that they have earned, the band that I heard today, that they have earned that title. What the band that I heard today, whatever they call themselves, was playing songs such as God Bless America and military marches. In the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. parade, which is supposed to be for what Dr. Martin Luther King stood for, which is peace and justice and freedom for everyone, everyone, and the human rights of all people. And that's what we're fighting for. We're not fighting for just one group or one, who's going to be king or anything like that. We are fighting to make this world a place where our grandchildren can live in and where everyone's grandchildren can thrive together. And Martin Luther King's way is the way to do that. The way that this band that I heard today was playing is not the way. So I'm sorry that I was very disappointed to hear that. And, I do want to say that as I heard that, my reaction wasn't to say something bad about America, because America needs healing too. America needs a lot of healing. So as they were playing God Bless America, I was walking in front of them saying, yes, God bless America in finding the wisdom to return what was stolen. You need to return our land, our country, the sovereignty of the people. You need to take care of your own people. You need to stop fighting these stupid wars. And you need to do what is right. Listen to Dr. Martin Luther King. Don't just put his picture up in the school classroom and make the kids swear a pledge of allegiance like the provisional government tried to do to all of the people of Hawaii that came under its guns? That's not the right way. Follow people who are right. Like Dr. Martin Luther King, like Queen Liliuokalani, like Gandhi. Those who stand for peace are standing for what is right. And those who stand for aloha for all peoples are the ones who we need to take as our examples and move forward with. Like the Royal Hawaiian Band, the true Royal Hawaiian Band, who we honor along with our kupuna. Yesterday we had all the names of all the kupuna who resisted annexation laid out on the grounds of this palace right here. And we do remember them, and we remember the true Royal Hawaiian Band. So anyone claiming that name has a responsibility to do what is right. Maybe you ought to consider, don't play those songs of a government that hasn't done right to the people. Play the songs of the rightful people of this land. Kaulananapua. Even some of the songs of the civil rights movement would have been appropriate. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. That would be more appropriate for a Martin Luther King Day parade. In my mana'o, doing what is right is a simple thing, but it needs to be done, because if you do what is wrong, then you carry heva, and you need to turn away from heva and do what is right.